Hey guys, Colleen Gallagher here with episode 57 of the Colleen Gallagher podcast. Say what? And this is a sporadic episode, but it just needs to be said. I needed to let this off my chest. But before I get into this, because this is like just so potent, I first want to say congratulations to all of us. We've made it to 3,000, like 130 something downloads on the podcast. Like, how incredible, you guys. Like, when I started this off 14 months ago, I had no idea the community that it would turn into. Like, I literally had zero idea of what this was going to bring. I had zero idea of how many emails I'd get, like the impact that I would get, people that would be loving to hear my perspective, loving to have dialogue, which is like my favorite thing. Because I feel like I really learned through like talk therapy. I learned through conversations. I learned through being in new environments and asking questions and like pulling things out of each other into a deeper presence. And I love it. I mean, that's why I love social media. Is I love, like, I get to like see all these different people from all over the world, and we get to connect in messages. And then obviously deeper, my online programs are obviously much deeper if you go on books with me or read my books, and I'll also go into my retreat. So anyway, with that, the other thing I wanted to share, since I'm doing videos, if you're listening to this, it's on YouTube for the video. My third book, An Uncompromised Life, launches June 8th. So we're like so close to it. I'm so excited. Let's open to a random page. Woo! All right, this is a good one, you guys. I opened it and it said, "Congratulations. I'm so excited for you. I hope you like these." Heart. And it had the woman's first name and last initial. Inside was $245 worth of baby-related gift cards. I dropped to the ground. I didn't know the person name on the card. It had somehow been mailed to my uncle's house in California, which I had just made my permanent residence as I lived in Arizona a few months before. I looked at the sending zip code, and it was the same city and state that Ella's dad was from. I looked up this person's name on Facebook, and she and Ella's dad were friends on Facebook. Plus, her Facebook profile matched the zip code on the envelope, and her job title is mother. I almost fainted. I looked at the date the card was mailed, and it was mailed in October 2019, before I was even pregnant. I didn't even know until late November I was pregnant. How is this even possible? Woo! What a mystery to open this podcast with. Of course, the universe always knows. And this is the healing box. You can get like it's a sacred geometry, and it comes with a crystal and a poem. So anyway, you can go to my website, colleengallagher.co, and you can receive it, or you can go on Amazon. Now, for the topic of this, I'm really excited. I am really like, I have to say something about this. So for those of you who know, like my Instagram and Facebook were just hacked by these hackers. You can read a blog. I just did it on my website as well. I show you like the photos of, the emails and all the things. But basically what they did is they took my Facebook page, the Colleen Gallagher, out of my name, put it into their name. And then on my personal page, they posted child porn to get me kicked off of the platform so that I could not open a help ticket to get my business back. It was like very targeted. And of course, it's happening right before the launch of my third book, because it's a force much darker than me trying to keep the light down. But in reality, all this darkness is doing is just giving me an easier path to illuminate the path forward. So with that, I came across Paris Hilton's recent documentary, and I really loved it, but that wasn't where I was going to go with this. But anyway, that was a really great thing. It really opened my eyes to something she's doing in the legal system, because even though my business was just taken, my identity was stolen, there's no police force I can call. There's no one at Facebook I can call. I'm like not protected, that literally my business was just stolen. Like there's zero protection. Like it's crazy. Like this would never happen in a brick and mortar store. And this just cannot happen in the future, because it's very easy for China just to go on Facebook and attack, like, I don't know, 5 million Americans that use online business. And then basically, not have a thing. Like that would be very easy for them. So, what I wanted to share, what I wanted to drop in, is what came across from the Paris Hilton documentary was Britney Spears. And, I was like really young with Britney Spears. I mean, I remember dancing to her when I was like a little girl, but it's not like I ever knew like all of the drama, like I don't think I really comprehended it. I think around that time too, I was like just getting ready to be diagnosed with cancer. I was like in that space. So it's not like she was like a mainstream thought like the rest of the world was having. So there's 5 episodes from this. Let me look at what it is from this deep dive YouTube channel, and they're doing a 6th one that really talks about like the whole past like 20 years of Britney Spears. And I'm kind of really grateful this came across my eyes because long story short of what you see in this documentary series is that Britney Spears was successful, like hyper successful by the age of like 13, like literally traveling all over the world. Like people wanted to be around her, like paparazzi. And there was not like paparazzi laws like there are now when you see like the Kardashians. Like you literally see footage of like she's in a restaurant trying to have dinner and these camera people are like right up in her face in her food. Like there's like no laws of like you can't go in the restaurant, like nothing. Like they're like banging on her car. Like it's insane. And so she's dealing with that, first of all. And there's really no other woman out there that was doing what she was doing at that time. You know, I mean, Madonna, but it still was a little bit different. I mean, this is wild when you watch these things. And so she really wanted to have babies. She really wanted to be a mom. And she became a mom of two boys. And they had Kevin and her had a breakup in their marriage. And long story short, he basically like tries to get sole custody because she's, you know, traveling all the time. And to any mother, if someone is trying to get sole custody of a child that has been in your womb, that is absolutely horrifying. I feel like when I watched this, the reason that I actually had an abortion was to save my daughter from being involved in her father's life because he's a horrible human being, or I experienced him as a horrible human being. I would just never want my daughter to look up to someone like that. Like never in a million years. I don't really have anything good to say about him. Like there's really just nothing. I mean, besides the fact of helping me beat the matrix and know that it's possible, which I'm grateful for, but yeah. And so basically from that, I then co-created the story. I'm adopting my daughter. So my daughter is always going to be in my life. Like she's going to end up manifesting in the physical. Like it's really like this new world way of thinking because I never knew I could be pregnant because I had cancer. And so I can't imagine if I was Brittany and I had two kids and someone was trying to take them because of my career when it's in reality of like the kids and you wouldn't even have this life if it wasn't for me. Like it's just wild. So basically she has a mental breakdown. Totally understandable. I don't know a sane woman who wouldn't have a mental breakdown if someone was trying to take her kids. Like that's crazy. Like, do you understand there's a primal instinct in animals, and human beings are animals, to not mess with the cubs or the children? Like that's just basic 101. Like I don't even understand the issue. And so from that, there's this woman, I don't even want to go into it, but she's basically, it's kind of reminded me of this movie called what is it called? The Caregiver or something, but it's this woman who basically like goes after old people, and when they can't take care of themselves, she like goes after rich old people to take care of them and gets their money. This is basically what was happening in real life. So this woman went off like after Amanda Bynes, Lindsay Lohan, Brittany, and one other woman. And so when Brittany's in this mental breakdown, she goes to the dad, Jamie Spears, and basically says, we need to become conservators of your daughter because she's not well. And when we do this, we can control her whole money and we control what her health is, like basically controlling what's on her health diagnosis. And so I'm thinking like, this is crazy. Like a woman is like selling this. And to make this even crazier, the dad that this woman's going after was not in Brittany's life growing up. He was an alcoholic. The mom divorced him and the mom actually raised Brittany. So this is like crazy that now the dad is trying to come in and claim that he's going to be the caretaker of Brittany and all of her assets basically, and her health. Like I'm like watching this, you guys, and I'm like, oh my God, I am so uncomfortable that this legal system is like this, because looking at what just happened to my Facebook when I got hacked and there was child porn posted and there's no one for me to call. Like I'm sitting here literally thinking like this legal system has not caught up to where we are. Like how on earth could a father go after being a conservator of his daughter, his life he wasn't even involved in? Like that, what? So he wins. And Brittany didn't even have the right to have a lawyer. Like she left this mental institute, went and had a meeting with a lawyer, said she knows it's going to happen, the conservator, it's too late for that, but she does not want the dad to be the conservator and that she wants this lawyer to help her. So he agreed, and he's on this documentary basically saying, yeah, you know, I agree that when I talk to Brittney, by no means did she show me someone who needs to be a conservatory. Like, she was articulate. She knew what was going on. She knew like this was going to happen and this was her only option. So I said I was going to represent her. So I go in court, and then the judge basically says, who is a conservative judge, that because of Brittney's medical record, she can't make the judgment to have someone represent her. So the court is appointing her someone. Like, this is like, just, you guys, this is like the next level of breaking civil, like, I mean, breaking human rights. I don't even understand. Like, Brittney has a right to appoint a lawyer. Like, she was not this like crazy psyched out person. These people were trying to take her children from her when there is no proof. There's no legal proof yet that she was on drugs. Yes, she shaved her head, but there was no legal proof that she was on drugs to do that, or that there's nothing. Like, if you look at Demi Lovato, I mean, her team is like helping her try to get off the drugs. They even put her in a mental a mental thing. Like, this is crazy, you guys. This is like 20 years apart, really. I mean, Brittney's like 40 or even less than that, and Demi's like 27, I think my age. You guys, this is wild. So I'm like sitting here like, I'm already so upset with the legal system from what just happened to me. I feel like so let down. I called the police. The police didn't do a report at first because it was a technology thing. I had to go back and redo it. They did it. Like, Facebook has no legal support. Like, it's just crazy that like, you're literally, my business got broken into and I can't call anyone. And I'm living in the United States of America. Like, we're not talking about that I'm living in a country that has no police force or like no government. I mean, this is just wild. So I'm like looking at like basically watching all these videos, and like still to this day, Brittney has been in this conservator for almost 13 years now. She's the highest paid residence holder in Vegas of any artist, like more than J-Lo, more than Mariah Carey, like highest paid. It was like $550,000 a night for 3 nights a week. Like, that's, I mean, 1.5 million a week. That's crazy money. So, so basically where I wanted to go with this, she's still performing and doing this, but she's a conservator. Conservator literally means like you cannot take care of yourself. Like, you cannot care for yourself. If this woman could not care for herself, how is she performing for thousands of people over like the last 13 years and has albums that are coming out? She still receives like top some of them. How does she have a fan base? Like, how is she, her 2 sons? Like, this just, it does not make sense. It's something is not right. And so I'm like continuing to watch this, and she shows up on some shows. I appreciate Ellen DeGeneres for having her back and like letting her be on there. I mean, I've just seen Ellen, you know, because if you interview her, you have to submit interview questions. You can't veer from them. If you do, they won't air it and they'll like sue you. Like, it's just crazy. So, I mean, this woman, Brittney, has basically been silenced through the legal system in America, and like no one can help get her out of it. And she's not incompetent. Like, it's just crazy. So this really got me like fired up, because it's not just about this, but it's like, if this was a man and a man had his kids taken away and like he went and shaved his head, or like, I don't know, he went and got a wig or something, you would not be finding him being put in a mental hospital, and you would not be finding him like having his mom that wasn't around when he was growing up being taking care of his full estate and full health. Like, Brittney's dad can literally say, this is the medication you need to take, so that it shows up that on her medical thing, she is something when she's not. Like, that's what it comes like. It's like, oh, they're going to take this pill. They're going to take this pill. Like, they can literally, and if you have the doctors in on it, which I'm sure they do by now, I mean, it's 13 years this habit is going on, and she's paying for all of it. They're using her money. So she's making money, and they're using all of her money for all this stuff. Like, whew, I was just so like fired up. Like, and I was like, maybe I don't do a podcast on this. Maybe this is like not something, but you guys, like, I just really feel like we are entering into a new age legal system. We really are. And this legal system on planet Earth may not be catching up to the energetic beings that we are. But let me tell you something. These companies like Facebook, who doesn't have my back for my business being stolen because it was hacked, like these companies that, the court system that is allowing this to happen, whereas Brittney had every right. It's her right as a human to appoint a lawyer. Like, this is Demi Lovato was someone who was way more in the drug scene, like openly, and she still had rights to lawyers. Like, she still had, her whole team was trying to help her. Like, she had a nutritionist, all this stuff. Like, So it's just like wild to me to think that this is like a mainstream thing. Like this, Britney Spears is almost a 40-year-old woman who's raised two sons and who was one of the highest pop performers, like hits of all time. And she does not have control of her own life, her finances, or her health. Like, what? That just doesn't sound right. Like something's not right there. Like I'm not crazy to think that. Like there's just something not right. And so where do I want to land here? I just wanted to land that the legal system we're operating in, and even the lawyers I called, they were like, Colleen, if you really want to get this page back, it's going to be a $35,000 case to get the judge to maybe do a restraining order to this email you have that we don't even know is American, to then send it to Facebook to put the page back into your name. But my Facebook page is going to be gone by then because it's going to take more than 30 days. Like, you guys, that's like, we're moving too fast in the technology era. Like, we don't have time for that. Like, it's just crazy. So to look at something like Britney Spears for 13 years and her mom has no rights to her. Her mom has like no right. Like, it's again, like crazy. How does a woman who has literally birthed you out of her womb, who took care of you, like literally she was the one who took care of Brittney because the dad was an alcoholic and she has no rights to help her daughter right now? That is a broken system. Like that, just from a biology standpoint and a logical sense, doesn't even, there is no law. I don't understand that, like how the law is able to do that. So anyway, a conservator as well as like for the rest of your life. So until basically Brittany's dad dies, she's under this guy's reigns, which is nuts. And so she does have a court hearing. I saw on like June 23rd of 2021 to hopefully get out of this, because the court finally let her put a bank onto the estate. So it's not just her dad alone. Like the bank has like checks and balances in her stuff. But I mean, you guys, this is just like the next level of the next level. I mean, it's wild. Like if the woman can produce, 5 to 6 million a month and have all these thousands of fans around the world, I'm pretty sure she can manage her money. She can manage her life. Like it's just not logical. And I had to come on and share this because I think so many of us, we think that this legal system is going to protect us. But the more I even just experience the system, it's like, you want to stay as far away, back to episode 42 to 45 I did with Alexander Me. You want to stay as far away from the outside system as possible and creating that internal system within yourself, because everything I just shared, it was a reminder for me of like, wow, we've really gotten off the deeper track. Wow, we've really women have been suppressed at such a deep level. It's not even funny. And I don't want to point it as like a woman minority thing, because you know how I feel about that based on my life. But I mean, you guys, you would never see a man who his kids were taken from him and he put a wig on or he shaved his hair and he's in a mental hospital. You would never see that. It would never happen. Would never happen. So why is that happening for someone like Brittany? It just doesn't make sense, just because she's so famous and she's pushed the envelope in artistry. Like, I don't know. I just think it's a little bit out of control. And I think that there needs to be more checks and balances in these judges and these lawyers of like what's really going on. Like there's lawyers who've like walked away because they didn't want to be debarred. Like this is a big system. This is a big issue of greed, and it's a big issue of control. And I feel like as the feminine, it's not even man and woman, like the feminine in men and the feminine in women has been controlled, has been suppressed, has been detained for so long that now these, I mean, absolutely crazy stories are coming out of the woodworks of like that these men think they could control. Like it's the same thing when Ella's dad looked me in my eyes and said, like, how much could I have paid you to keep the baby if you didn't have a miscarriage? Like crazy. Who says that? Like people who are unwell say like that is controlling, detaining, because I have money, I can buy your body. Like who does that? So yeah, I think that's where I want to leave it. I think the biggest thing is really tune in to these stories, like these stories that call me. I get very excited, like the Paris Hilton thing that excited me, her documentary. This one excites me. Like there's just some massive transitions that are happening. And I think it's really good to be aware of them, because um, if you aren't becoming aware of what excites you, what pulls your passion, where are your thoughts going? Like my thoughts naturally get pulled to these really crazy situations with injustices and the legal system really letting us down. And I want to understand like why that's happening. And same with like Facebook, like these are really like, why is Facebook not supporting my business? Like when it was hijacked, like this is very concerning. This is a very concerning thing for me. Like, unless in fact, Facebook itself is in on the horrifying child sex trafficking. Why would you not have a support line on your platform for something like that happened to me, unless there's part of you that's helping move it forward? Like these are questions that I like to ask. And that's why it's like, even when I do get my page back, I'm not even sure how I feel about it anymore. Like I'm very like, I'd want to see some changes. It's scary. We're living in a really interesting time where you as one person, everything you watch, everything you buy, everything you think is voting. Every word you speak, you're voting with your words, you're voting with your dollars. It's not just showing up on a ballot and doing something. Like you really vote in every single moment by what you stand by what you communicate with, by what you value. Like every moment is deciding for you what your life, can be, and what you stand up for and what you tolerate. And so I really wanted to do this podcast, I guess, because my intention was, I felt like I'm seeing things. There's a pattern here. It's a big pattern that I'm noticing when it comes to women, especially around enslaving them or trapping them or breaking them or keeping them stuck, of like the levels that this darker masculine force will go to. Like it's this, and it's happening in men too. I mean, so I want to say it's a masculine force, and it's a very dark masculine force that's coming through to like really stop the spaciousness that the feminine is desiring to expand into. And that's probably why I created my magazine, Expanded Liberation, because we are really in a state of expanding. We're really in a state of becoming liberated. We're really in a state of like this knowing of like, if anything was possible, what would I be thinking? What would I be feeling? What would I be doing? Would I be talking like this? Would I be doing this? Would I be watching that? Would I be writing this? Like, what would be that creative nature that I can expand this universal energy through me and out of me? And that expansiveness does come in the form of businesses, because look, like businesses run the world. Like even if you're an artist, even if you're a creator, like you're all of it, but you've got to be able to know that you can contribute something into this world, and that you can take control of your own mindset, of your own scenario, because otherwise you're letting whatever the world has put on you, if you're not becoming aware of your thoughts, which is consciousness, then you're just letting whatever the world's throwing at you like come on you. It's almost like you're just walking outside and you're never taking a shower. Like it'd be crazy if that happened. You know what I'm saying? Like you've got to become aware, okay, when I'm outside and it's raining, it's going to be wet. Okay, if I'm outside and it's sunny, I better put sunscreen lotion on. Like you've got to become aware of these thoughts that are running habitually in your mind, and then see how like, what are the ones that get you passionate? What are the ones that get you excited? And then how do you start creating a lifestyle around that? How do you start getting momentum around that? And it's brilliant what Brittany's done, even though she's been in this, like what she's created and how her albums really speak to what she's desiring to express. And she leaves these little things for her client or for her following. Like it's just really brilliant. So, I'm just noticing a pattern here that I think together collectively, we've got to like be smarter. We've got to like think more consciously about our decisions. I think like even something, Candace Owens and Nicole Arbor just had this big thing. And I agree with what Candace is doing by sticking up to Chrissy Teigen, because I think it's not okay to tell people to go kill themselves. Like that's crazy, actually. But at the same time, I don't agree with then Nicole didn't need to interpret her thing into Candace of what she was doing. Like she did that just to cause more drama. But at the same time, it's not even Nicole. It's just a darker energy, because Nicole is just unaware of what's going on. Like she's not even in her body. You can tell by some of the things she's saying when she says it, like it's not even her in her body. It's an energy that's coming through her. And so Candace is very much in her body, knows who she is, knows what she's doing, knows her purpose, and isn't shy about it. And I mean, I don't think Candace is ever going to be this like old, mighty, spiritual, new age consciousness person. That's not her purpose. We don't really want her in that. And that's okay. We want her doing what she needs to do. Because people like that is going to help people set Brittney free, because it's just crazy that this woman is under a man's ruling, and all of her money is, and her health. Like, he is forcing this woman to take pills that she does not need to take. And he wasn't even there for her childhood. And he won't let the mother see any of it. Like, that is just wild. And so I just want you to remember, like, just make sure you're really looking at the full story of someone when you're looking and judging or thinking on who you're following. And also make sure that when you're following, or whoever you're following in this world, you know, they're inputting a frequency into you. So after this story, I was like, oh, I'm definitely now a Brittney fan even more, because this woman is so strong. Like, this woman laid such strong groundwork. And when this truth does come out, when she is set free of what her book is about to be, or what is about to come out of that woman's mouth, for the feminine to rise, for artists to rise, for creators to rise. I mean, this is going to be, a huge win in the battle of the awakening of World War motherfucking 3. Let me tell you that. And so that's why I think I get excited about it, because it's like, I see this darkness that's been around her, and she's just like, she's going to be so ready to illuminate it, just ready to pop, ready to go like a star. It's just so bright. And I think that's how I feel about my book in a lot of ways as well. Like, I feel like this darkness kind of surrounded me. And, you know, I talk about getting outside of Western medicine, and there's a lot of like anti-vax, pro-vax going on right now, even though my book has nothing to do with that. It's still around Western medicine. So it's like the book's coming out at a time that's a little controversial, but it's going to be there. And all this darkness with my Facebook, all the darkness with this, whatever, it's just making it easier to illuminate the path for me in my future in the now moment. And so, I hope this just gives you perspective. I hope it gives you support. I hope it gives you an understanding that there's always more to the picture than we can see. And that truly just believe that people really are doing the best they can. Like, really believe that, and really know that sometimes people are in so much pain. Like, when we're in so much pain and we haven't looked at our pain, we haven't looked at our traumas, then other energies are living inside of us, like parasites that we don't even know about, that are actually hindering us to be able to move forward and grow to be who we need to be. So anyway, I hope that serves. Go to my website, get any of my products or services, subscribe to the podcast, make sure to leave a review if you love it, share it with your friends. This is a very different episode for me, so I'd love for you guys to know like what came up, what you liked. If you have any questions that I really like these topics. I'm noticing a pattern. I get very engrenched and like, I want to do something. Like, how do I fight back against these judges that I feel like did something wrong? Or how do I do something to like have people see there's another way? Like, she wasn't just this crazy woman shaving her whole head. Like, her kids got taken from her. Like, any normal, sane woman would do something. Like, what? And everyone just is so quick to react, so quick to have like the negative reaction of, oh, of course that person is, or I don't know. It's just wild. Just be kind, be in love, and I love you.